When we talk about theme, we're really talking about why do we even bother to read and write literature in the first place? I mean, what's the point of reading and writing if we're not learning life lessons along the way? You know, sometimes when we read a book, we read it just for fun. You know, some thriller or some dystopian novel that's exciting and adventurous. But there's some reading that we do. For example, the reading that your English teachers are probably giving you in class weigh a lot more. Say a lot more about the human condition and what it's like to live and to breathe and to struggle and to love and to lose. Really great literature can be picked apart with lots of different themes and ideas. Now, you'll want to notice that a great author isn't just going to come out and lecture you on their theme. That would not be enjoyable to read, and it wouldn't give you personally that same human experience. Today we're going to talk about how to write a theme statement. I'm going to give you a recipe for writing a theme in 5 easy steps. Before I do, I want to fix the misconception that you might have on what a theme is. I'm assuming that your English teachers in the past have used the term theme to talk about topics that a novel or any piece of text is about. Like, for example, if you were going to read the novel The Crucible, you might think of some themes or topics of The Crucible being things like power and forgiveness and redemption and women's rights. But really, that's just a list of topics that the novel has in it. It's not really a theme or a theme statement. Because a real theme teaches us something. It's the meaning or the moral or the message of the entire piece. There is more than one theme in a good piece of text. Now, in the past, like I said, your English teachers probably told you what the themes were and then you had to research them. But now that we're in advanced English, I don't want to give you the theme anymore. I trust that you are smart enough and that you are creative and emotional and that when you read a text, you have your own feelings. I want you to think about how your own personal feelings and understanding is determining what the theme is for you. So let's backtrack a little bit. The point of writing a theme statement is thinking about the topics in a piece and considering how you felt about that topic, what you learned about it, how you grew. What is the message? What is the meaning? What is the moral of it? Hopefully, really good writing should give you an epiphany, that feeling, that aha moment, that light bulb going off. So remember, the theme is not just a list of words like love and family and goodness. It's actually what the author's trying to teach you about those things. So here's the recipe, the 5 steps to help you write a great theme statement. First, you have to finish the entire text. You can't just read pieces of it or go on Spark Notes. You need to be able to really experience that human experience throughout the novel. When you read a text closely, there are so many details in it that perhaps a movie director might leave out of the movie. Don't attempt to write a theme statement if you haven't read the text completely. So if you want to start by writing theme statements on short stories or poetry rather than a full novel, go ahead and do that. Once you read the entire text, the next step is step 2. You need to create a list of topics. So as an example, we're going to talk about the novel The Crucible. It's a play written by Arthur Miller. Most of our students have read the novel our junior year of high school. For those that don't know, really briefly, The Crucible is a story about the Salem witchcraft trials that happened in 1692. When I think of some of the topics from that novel, there are so many. Forgiveness and redemption and women's rights and sin and the effects of sex and adultery, society versus the individual and authority and love, goodness and gossip and the death penalty, peer pressure and justice and women's rights, greed, forgiveness, integrity, judgment, the legal system. I mean, this novel is packed full of important topics. And it's important that we as a reader can go through this list of topics and pick out which topics are sticking out to us. So once you've created this grand list of topics, pick 1 or 2. I'm gonna pick my favorite from The Crucible, which is redemption. Okay, so we finished step 3. Picking one of those topics. Redemption's my topic. Bum, bum, bum. It's a weighty, interesting, complex topic, and I think it's a great one for what we're gonna be doing. Next, step 4, we're actually gonna write this statement. Now I'm gonna give you 3 different sentence stems to have you start your idea and then you finish the sentence. You might start with the author believes, something that the author's trying to teach you, or maybe something the character learns throughout the novel, or maybe something that the audience learns throughout the novel. So you've either got the author, the character, or the audience. Check it out. So here's our first sentence stem. The author believes. Then we would finish it. This is what the author's teaching me about redemption. The author believes that real redemption comes from sacrifice. Or here, I would take a character and I'd say, the character John Proctor learns that although he's committed sin and made mistakes, that redemption is possible for him. The third sentence stem might be something like, the audience or the reader learns that. And maybe the audience or reader learns that redemption is possible even when you have committed a heinous crime. So remember, in this fourth step, this is where you're going to actually write your sentence. You're going to look at what the author's trying to teach you, or what one of the characters or the audience might learn throughout this story. Make sure it focuses on the topic or topics that you picked. For this step 4, there are some things you should also pay attention to. Number 1, don't make it too vague. You don't want to say the author believes that sin is bad, or John Proctor learns that sin is bad, or the audience learns that sin is bad. Sin is bad is too vague. It's too obvious. It's not original. And also be careful that you're not using anything too specific to the novel. If you said John Proctor learns that he should not have had an affair with Abigail because it broke his wife's heart and he had to redeem himself, that's far too specific to this text. We want to talk about what the author is trying to teach us or what we're learning so that we can apply it to life in general, the big human experience. Mine is front and back, so it goes like this. The character John Proctor learns that despite his mistakes, he can still be worth honor and is redeemed through his honesty, period. Check. Now we're on to step 5. Last step. So step number 5 is actually to take the sentence and revise the sentence. I'm actually going to cross out the character John Proctor learns that. Capitalize this. And then we're going to make it less vague. So instead of saying despite his mistakes, we're going to say despite mistakes, a person can still be worth honor and is redeemed through honesty, period. You take out the top and then you revise it so that it makes sense. To say despite mistakes, a person can still be worth honor and is redeemed through honesty. Boom. The author's trying to teach us that. It's something John Proctor learns, and maybe it's something that we as an audience learn. You don't need to try to make this too complicated, and it is something you can do. Remember, step 1, finish the entire text first. Then step 2, make a list of all of the topics that you're going to find in that text. Number 3, pick one of those topics. That's an easy one. Number 4, write a sentence. Use these sentence stems if you need help to be guided to write a strong statement. And then number 5, cross out those sentence stems and revise it so that it's more general, that this is something everyone can learn and everyone can experience. I mean, check it out. What a good lesson. Despite my mistakes, I can still have honor through honesty. Awesome. You can do this. So let's try.